either.
Go. Ready.
I have to wait for her to tell me we're live.
You can start.
Sorry.
Sorry.
All you, Doug, go ahead. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Evening, everybody.
Good evening.
May I get a motion to open up the June 23rd, 2022 town board meeting? So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Right. Any public comment on the agenda tonight? No? All right, let's go right to it. Item number 1, discuss and approve the implementation of a deputy chief for the town of Goshen Police Department. Chief, you want to get up and speak to it?
Sure. Right now, Al's administrative sergeant, but 4 hours a day, done part-time, the other 4 hours, he's the acting chief. But he's getting paid this extra money to be his acting chief. So instead of just making him a sergeant who's an acting chief, just make him a deputy chief, would do away with that money that you're paying him there. You know, come do some kind of step program. And then when Jimmy takes over and Jimmy's not there, you don't have to pay him extra. He's doing what he's already doing with the extra responsibilities. And there's 3 other sergeants. So if Jimmy's not there and there's 3 other sergeants, or 2 sergeants working. They go to a scene, you clearly know who's in charge. Just the command structure would be a lot simpler if you just make it. It's not asking for a whole lot more money. Just maybe the post charge money. Roll into the regular salary.
I did an evaluation on that, what he made against what the salary.
Yeah, I know he made
Yep.
over 9,000 last year. I know he made over 9,000 officer in charge pay.
Yeah, between officer in charge and overtime, he made 131,000 last year.
Right.
I think at this particular point, we're here to discuss the position.
Right.
And just
Right.
not the personnel.
Yeah,
Right.
we
That's a
are.
whole different story. We have
Okay.
to go into executive session on
Right, I agree.
personnel with you.
Right,
So now
he just came here to talk about, why he's,
I understand, but if we're gonna do that, we need to go into executive session. We can talk about the position next position.
Sure. Do you have any?
Okay, not in person.
Right.
No, we discussed it pretty well last time.
so there's some questions. There were some questions from you, Phil, at the last meeting relative to the position, not the personnel.
Right. only-
We asked the attorney to look into, we asked our attorney to
Right.
look into the position,
Right.
how it plays out in the PBA contract
Yeah.
and how it plays out with civil service. Attorney
Right.
Brady?
Sure.
There you go.
All right, start with, I looked at it as 2 questions, but the second question's got 2 parts. So the first question was whether the sergeant position would need to whether we would need to keep 4 sergeant positions if we create a deputy chief position.
Right.
The PBA contract does not designate a specific number of positions. So
Okay.
to answer that plain, it does not need to be replaced. So you could have 3 sergeants and a deputy chief.
Okay.
All right, so that was part 1. Part 2 was inevitably, if the situation arises where Officer Post, or sorry, soon to be Chief Post, retires, what happens then? So they would go to the list as if it would normally. So you go off the civil service and would have to go to the list. It wouldn't be deputy chief automatically goes into that position. So that's part 1. Part 2 is if there is a lag while that position is being sought to be filled, that appointment can be made by the town board with recommendations of either outgoing chief or
Right.
Or
And you did that in the past with me,
Yeah,
when
he-
there was an opening, you
right.
could just
So-
appoint somebody acting chief. and
Well,
really
he
take
would
the
be a
test.
deputy, so.
well, but
he
it
would be
doesn't,
the acting
a deputy
chief, right?
doesn't designate automatic rise to chief. So if I'm
Right,
talking
right.
about it in the position sense, it would be the board's designation of who went into that chief role. And certainly
Right.
deputy chief would be in play, but it
Yeah.
would be more in play than a sergeant per se.
But he
But
would
that's off
fill
the
in.
list, right?
He would, maybe there's a couple days, but as soon as the
Yeah.
appointment's made, it could be another person. is what I'm
Right,
getting
right,
at. So
yeah.
when we're separating it from personnel, we're talking purely position.
So are you saying that in the event that Chief Post retires,
Correct.
it's not automatic
Or
that
any chief, for
any
that matter,
chief.
right?
It's
If
not
this
au-
position's
It's not
created.
automatic that the deputy would automatically become acting
No.
chief, a sergeant could become acting chief. It's totally up to the board to
It
make that
is.
decision.
The deputy chief would have deputy roles when the chief is not there, which would
Right.
be normal, right?
Yeah.
But it would,
But it's still our choice on who becomes that.
the fill-in part,
The
and then the
acting
other
chief-
part defaults to civil service.
Got it.
Okay, so it does address the concerns in that sense, which were, again, whether we would be adding a position and having to, not just creating the deputy chief, but having to keep 4 sergeants. That is not, we're good on that, at
Right.
least of
Yes.
what the concern was,
Yeah.
and then.
Yeah.
So, I hope that clarifies it, certainly.
It clarifies, yes.
Okay.
Most of them, the only thing I want to make sure is that the deputy chief's position, deputy chief is not a list position.
There is no list for the deputy chief.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, no, it's, I mean, it doesn't, no. it
There's no
doesn't
civil
operate the
service
same way the
list.
chief does.
There's no civil service rank for deputy.
Yes.
chief. It's an appointed position. You could change your mind and unappoint him a month later if something screws up.
And to remove the position and go back to, I'm
That's
sorry,
what you created.
Right.
That should be-
Only
that's-
because for a sergeant, there's a civil service exam. For the
Correct.
chief,
That's your
there's a
permanent right.
Civil service exam, but in the middle,
right,
it's straight appointment and we can appoint anyone.
Unappoint them, appoint them.
and he's not part of the PBA contract either, or
No,
at
no,
least
I know
that
that.
position is,
Good.
right? So it's, it does actually leave more discretion
Okay.
than not
Good.
with the board.
Well, that answers my question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, very good. Okay.
George, anything?
No, I haven't.
Rick?
Well, I think George is,
I'll just say that, you know, I spoke to both officer posts and Chief McDowell about it. And I think it clears up supervision a little bit with the fact of that now you have 3 sergeants and 1 deputy. So there's the kind of layers there. I think that helps. Save some money, as Joe, as you said. And I think that, you know, the police force is slowly but surely becoming better and better and better. And I think this helps it a little bit along that line. So I support it. So is a motion in order?
Well, I'd like Doug to give any comments he may have.
No, I'm fine.
Okay. I'll give you a little background on the numbers. I mean, you know, we would eliminate the officer in charge, which was about 9,600 last year. He would actually work 13 more days not being in the rotation. That's part of his workday. And last year, he made a total of about $132,000 between overtime and officer in charge. So I have a motion right now to promote Alan Faust, as deputy chief.
No, no, no,
I'm sorry, I think
No.
the
no.
motion is to create the position first.
Yeah, we gotta
And-
create
and
the
then- and then-
position.
And then we potentially have to go into
Executive
executive session
discuss
for the-
personnel.
specific appointment, because it's a, but
I don't know, give me the direction.
I would, well, the motion without executive session is to create the position.
So could I-
And
That
then we gotta
motion-
go-
I make a motion that we create the position of deputy chief.
Second, all in favor?
I need a roll call on that. It's pretty important.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
I,
George? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
there you go. So now we have a deputy chief's position.
I think for an abundance of caution to go into executive session, it's, I don't think it would be 100% necessary, but on the fly right now. I
Well,
prefer this.
we would be going into executive session to discuss the second one, so we can discuss both of them and then come right back.
We
Okay, so I need a motion.
We need a
Yep.
motion to go into-
I'll make the motion that we go into executive session to
Second, yeah.
discuss
Second.
areas of
Second.
personnel.
Right.
Do you want us to go in there, or do you want the public to go out?
No, we'll go into the outside, let the public enjoy themselves here.
Hey.
The air conditioning is good.
All
All right,